Shanae, I'll let you take the floor as a fellow South African with the first ever South African UFC champion. How do you feel, and how do you think this affects African MMA as a whole?
So, um, first of all, I was happy. I was excited for this fight because either way, win or lose, this was history in the making right here. This is
Mhm.
the closest that a South African has gotten to winning a title. And so it was a big deal. It was a very, very big deal. Our main broadcaster, sports broadcaster here, is called Supersport, and they were going to broadcast the fight in English, is Xhosa, and Afrikaans. So those are three of the main languages here in the country.
Mhm.
And wow, it was just great. It was just great. It was like there was just a nice feeling. And coming from a country that's always winning, all we do is win. We've been winning. We have been having our foot on everyone's necks since last year, from the Rugby World Cup to some beekeeping competition to
Mhm.
whatever. South Africa's just coming out on top. And so we were just like ready for it. And we were like, let's go, like bring the championship home. We're ready for a champion. And about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I actually wrote an article for Fansided MMA, where I was talking about like the first South African born UFC champion. And, in the article, I was just writing that, unfortunately at this time, South Africa has not had a champion yet. But that could change. And oh my word, it did change.
Mhm.
Split decision, as you said. Very, very, very narrow. It was so scary. Like I was on the edge of my seat. Everyone
Mhm.
was on the edge of their seats. Everyone was just like, oh my God, like please just Triggers do it for us. This is probably like our one shot at getting a championship here. And he did it. We were so proud. I think you saw even like on the broadcast, on the UFC broadcast, they were showing like the people who are watching. And if you actually
Mhm.
look closely there's a few of the EFC fighters, some of the best
Mhm.
African fighters that we've got here on the continent, and including like the EFC bantamweight champion was literally right there. He was front
Wow.
and center right there. He was watching, everyone was there. EFC's ring announcer was there. The vibes were high and we were just so excited. And I was just telling you, like off camera, how this is not even just only a big deal for Drickers and for the Team CIT camp, but it's a big deal for the entire nation of South Africa, right?
Mhm.
It's a big deal for the entire MMA community, especially here in the South African nation, because now they see that it is possible. Whenever one person leads the path, it becomes clear. Everyone else is like, okay, I can make it, I can get there. And that's exactly what Drickers' win did. Um, yeah, I'm hoping that people learn how to pronounce his name properly now, since he's the champion and all of that. But luckily, Ray, you pronounce it perfectly. But I've heard a lot of weird pronunciations of his names. Let me put it like that. But but yeah, man, it's just been great. We're still buzzing from it. We're living our best lives. People were already drunk at 10 a.m. because the fight happened at 8 a.m. this side. So
Mm.
it was a great end to our weekend, honestly. So danko, trickers, danko is what we're gonna say.
Nice, nice. Danko. What that is? Did I get it?
Yeah. That's
All
like a
right.
that's like a way of saying thank you, but like in like slang type of vibe.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to DDP. Again, if you can't pronounce it, just say DDP. If you're a pro wrestling fan, that'll be easier for you. So,
Exactly.
well, I'll also stay on Drickus for right now. Now that he has won a championship, he had his post-fight interview, and he did call out another African, not necessarily a South African, but we got a Nigerian who's possibly waiting in the wings or still trying to get his stuff together in Israel
Hmm.
Adesanya. So, what do you think would be next for Dricus? Do you think we get that fight that they were saying, and I believe Israel said as a response on Twitter that it was destined for them to cross paths. So, do you think that that happens sooner than later? Do you think that there's going to be a rematch with Sean Strickland? Do you think possibly? I know people were talking about our guy from Kamzat Shemaev. People are throwing him in there as well, or if there's another contender that's waiting in the wings. What do you think is next for your fellow South African brethren?
I think I think Sean. Okay, I think Hamzat needs to first wait a second, right? We have a lot to deal with right now.
Mm,
Strickland would be right. I believe he would be right to challenge for like a rematch because that fight was so close. It was
mhm,
so close. I know some people are saying it's a robbery, but I don't think it was a robbery, right? But I do think it was very, very close. It could have gone any either way. Like that
mhm,
final round was the determining factor there. But I think I feel like I want the Drickers versus Israel fight next, right? And maybe I am being biased. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know, guys. But that is the fight that I do want. And I've been wanting UFC to come over to the African continent. I've been. And I feel like if that fight happens, that's the one that could come here. So I'm ready for it. I know people are talking about it
mm.
happening at UFC 300. I get it. UFC 300 is a big card and that's a big fight and the story is built in. They could finish the story. But, but no, I would rather they come here. I want them to come here. And yeah,